The garage. Mark was 32, a mechanic by passion. For as long as he could remember, he had been tinkering with cars. But his job at a big repair shop had long since stopped being enjoyable. Everything was going downhill. Cheap parts, unfair bosses, customers he could never satisfy because they never gave him enough time. One evening, he sat in front of his laptop, scrolling through classified ads. Then one listing caught his eye. Warehouse with car lift for rent, €900 per month. Damn, that's steep, he muttered. But he had some savings, and maybe this was his chance to finally be his own boss. 2 weeks later, the garage was his. It was big, smelled of old oil and metal, and the neon lights flickered every time he hit the switch. On the first day, he expected 1 or 2 customers. Instead, 20 showed up. Many were unhappy with other repair shops. Some seemed uneasy, as if they'd rather not talk. But Mark didn't ask questions. He needed the money. The day was long and loud, and just as he was about to lock up late that night, an old Mercedes E220D pulled in. The paint gleamed as if fresh from the factory, even though the odometer showed over 700,000 kilometers. Mark was a Mercedes fan and couldn't resist. "All right, I'll take a quick look," he said. The driver, a tall, silent man in a gray coat, gave a brief nod. "I'll pick it up tomorrow morning." Then he left. Mark put the car on the lift. Engine, chassis, undercarriage, everything was perfect. No rust, no scratches, no leaks. It made no sense. Curious, he opened the glove compartment. Inside was a bundle of cash. Not just a few bills, it had to be at least €100,000. His heart raced. The car itself was maybe worth €4,000 or €5,000. Why was there so much money inside? For a second, he thought about pocketing just enough to cover the €900 rent. But he put the money back. That wasn't who he was. He went to move the car into the garage and suddenly noticed it was heavy. Way too heavy. As if it were carrying several hundred extra kilos. But the trunk was empty. Mark couldn't sleep. At midnight, he returned to the garage. The flickering neon lights bathed the space in cold, pulsing light. He drove the car onto the truck scale next door. 3.3 tons. The empty weight of this model was 1.5 tons. He raised the Mercedes on the lift. Everything seemed normal, until he spotted a small hole in the bodywork hidden behind a panel. He carefully pried it loose. Behind it, sealed compartments, so precisely integrated into the structure that you'd never notice them from the outside. When he slit open one of the wrappers, white powder trickled to the floor. Cocaine. Kilos of it. He stumbled back. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. This wasn't a coincidence. This was organized. Then he heard it. A slow, metallic click from outside. He turned off the lights and peered through the rolling door. On the street stood the gray-coated man, motionless, and he was smiling. The man on the street didn't move. He was still smiling. And then he took a step forward. Slow, deliberate. The smile didn't change, but his eyes, those empty, cold eyes, remained locked on Mark. With every step, his soles echoed like hammer blows through the silent night. Mark could feel the rhythm deep in his chest, as if his heart was trying to sink and falling out of beat. He instinctively backed away from the door, his throat dry as dust. 20 meters left. 15. 10. Then the man stopped right in front of the gate. His breath fogged in the cold air. He leaned forward slightly, his voice barely more than a whisper. "This stays our little secret." Or... Mark swallowed hard. He nodded. Warm urine trickled down his leg. Yeah, he'd actually pissed himself. The man turned without another word and walked away as if nothing had happened. Mark never saw him again, not even weeks later. But he had to give up the garage. His mind unraveled more each day. Sleepless nights where he kept hearing the click of footsteps. Thoughts spinning like rusted gears until they sparked and burned. Images in his head of the man standing before him again, his hand slowly sliding into his pocket. He couldn't take it anymore. One evening they found him dead in the garage, the place he could never truly leave. A wrench in one hand, an empty whiskey bottle in the other. He had hung himself. Before the police could seal off the scene, he appeared, the gray-coated man. Standing in the shadows, phone to his ear, he uttered just one sentence. Took care of itself.